Hey, Chris. Yeah, Joe. Good to see you guys.
Rock and rolling.
Let's do this.
You guys are looking good, man.
Sounds like y'all just wrapped up a great one.
Yeah. We've got a lot to cover and not a lot of time because we want to get over to Meredith and BW and Ethan, and we got all kind of good stuff happening today. So I'll go ahead and get started. No video today. I'll share my screen.
Good to see everyone.
Yeah.
And
I think everybody's feeling back to normal, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Hopefully everybody's feeling back to normal anyway.
Yep. Quite the week, Brando.
Yeah, man. Great week considering, especially. I would say probably a top 5 all-timer. And
yeah, there's tons of people out.
Yeah, so many good things happening. So let me hit some leaderboards and announcements. We've got, as I said, Meredith, BW on, followed by an awesome call with Mr. Scott, Miss Kelly Summers, JPV, who brought the house down, by the way, at karaoke night, which
right.
may have contributed to our super spreader event, unfortunately. Not him bringing the house down, but all of us going to the karaoke thing. So hopefully everybody's okay, because I do want to be able to say that to me, it was almost worth it being able to watch John Paul Vetter get after it. Scott Summers got after it a little bit that night too. So makes me think maybe we need to do a, what did we used to call it, Casey? Symmetry's Got Talent. Was it Symmetry's Got Talent? Or was it it was
Rocks, yeah.
Symmetry Rocks. Yeah. All right. Top first time rider, John David Ward. Good Lord, $17,641 for your first week out. Ain't too bad, buddy. Well done. It's I've got the online version, so it freezes up on me here. I have to get back to. There we go. Hang on. See what I mean? There we go. Look at this. Andre Nero, $44,892 for the top personal producer for the week. Well done. Top app count, also Andre Nero, 20 apps. Holly Lockhart for the top Medicare sub producer. Top DI producer, Jared Saladis, $2,299. There's a little ancillary app here. Number 1, Rocco Pearson, $87,142 in IUL premium. Melvin K's like, how the heck did I not get first place this week? $39,948. You guys are smoking it on IUL. I was talking to Resma. I don't know if Resma's on the phone. He said it was a record week for IUL production and for DFL production, in addition to all the other close to records that we've out hit. Blaine Jones, the number 1 annuity producer for the week, with $635,000. Top DFL producer, Lisa Rednauer, $36,685. Scott Forehand's on this leaderboard, I'm pretty sure, every single week too.
Seems like
it. We need to get a little DFL on a national call coming up. Somebody take a mental note of that. Ethan, I'm putting you in charge of mentally noting. Geez, Puckett, where's this been? That's what I like to see. 16 recruits for the week. Jacob Pogue with 54 total recruits for the week. Ziller and Cook have a thing going back and forth, so I'm not going to kind of stoke that at all, but just know. Ashley and Tyler with 10, base shop licensed recruits, direct licensed. Also Ashley Tarr and Tyler Harris, excuse me. I think they've got a big date coming up. Have you heard this? Have you heard about where this?
Yeah.
This sounds like a really cool event.
Yeah.
I think they're going to be hanging out with George Clooney in a mall. What's her name? Is it a mall, Clooney? I don't know if it's Clooney, but Lake Como. Right. Top new riders usually follows if you're the top recruiter. That's the way it works. Way to go, Tarler. Jacob Pogue, also for you, man. And let's go back, because 54 recruits. I mean, look at this. 9 first-time riders. Ashley and Tyler, also Kevin Purdy with 8 first-time riders. Ruth Slingo and Sarah Reinecke with 2 SNAs. Scott Summers and Jacob Pogue on the direct board with 3 each. Satterley, Davis, Schweer, Shantz, Rudisil, Klein, Davis, Howe, Isbell, Lawler, Wheeler, Walker, Clark, King, and Crouch.
Yeah.
Way to go, SNAs.
Nice.
chances are you're still going to be with us in a year. Did you know that, Casey?
The odds are in your favor.
May the odds ever be in your favor. Top key leader for the week, John Mafoot, $32,744. Way to go. EJ Johnson, top agency owner with $60,506. Man, that's a heck of a week for an AO. That's more in a week than you're doing in a month to get that title.
32 grand is a heck of a week for a key leader.
Yeah, it is. John Mafoot. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. I'm gonna get to know that name.
Maybe you misread the levels of leadership, which is a good thing. Sometimes to misread them that way.
That's right, John. You're supposed to be doing $50,000 a week, so you can kind of step that up a little bit. Larry and Ann Griffin, top agency directors for the week. Trey Alderson Cloutier, dethroning Eileen Balmer, who has normally been sitting up there at the top. Not so fast. Way to go, Trey. Top MVP, of course, was Chris Cook. Top SVP was Kyle and Lisa Kimbrell, $366,000. Carl Miller with the top executive vice presidential numbers. Lynn Watkins just shy of $800,000. Lynn's not far from hitting that $1 million mark.
Yep.
I'm ready to see it. Lynn, shoot me a text. I want to know what your record week is. This coffee's good, by the way. We getting any coffee, Casey?
I'm coffeeless.
Man, Pritchett, he ain't afraid to hit $1 million either. $972,000. Upset Wayland for the week, $878,000. So Pritchett back on top of the week. KP, man. KP's killing it too. Top direct, George and Janet Matthews. Way to go. Super Tees. Top base shop was Paul Bine, $95,744. Big things coming from Bine. Meredith, you want to jump in and help me on this one? Exploring the role of men in women empowerment. I like that. Going to have Chief Officer Doug Zay on with Whitney Zay.
Is Doug the first male interview we've had on Connect?
Doug is the first.
And
Doug is the first, and Marlon Faulkner will be the second.
Oh, wow.
What the third. Babe, can I be the third? I want to at least be in the top three.
We'll see. We'll see how you act.
See how the other two men do first.
That's true.
We're excited. This is the first time we've shared the stage with men, and excited to hear their thoughts. So y'all tune in. If you haven't already, follow us at Quility or at Connect_Quility on each IG Live. That's where you find these. So
nice.
Yep. Quite the dynamic and interview there too. That's going to be fun to watch.
No, it is. It is. And if you miss them live, it doesn't mean you can't go back and watch them. They're all stored on Instagram. So be sure to tune in.
It's in the meta. It's in the metaverse in there. Go get it. Leads everywhere. I got an email this morning from Mike Hansen at 6:00 a.m. my time, which I think means 3 a.m. Mike Hansen time. For those of you that don't know, you have probably the most qualified, one of the smartest guys we've ever been around in charge of leads as your lead GM.
And most committed. Most committed.
Definitely the most committed. Fourth largest shareholder in the company, and got an email from him earlier saying that in addition to these, Illinois, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, I think he said we're swimming in leads in Iowa. Swimming. So the battle cry to us for the past 60 days has been leads under management, more leads, more leads, more leads. If you're wanting more leads, this is where you can go get them. Illinois, Minnesota, Nebraska, North Dakota, on top of many other places. But apparently Iowa is also a spot. I think we need a State of the Union coming up pretty soon on leads alone, because I've been hearing, Casey, some just amazing announcements coming out of the lead group.
Yeah, so we have a lot of goodies to catch up on, and we actually do have a State of the Union call, which you guys will see coming up at the end of this month. So stay tuned to the social media and your emails and stuff for that. But yeah, we got a lot of good stuff to cover for a Q2 and Q1 recap.
I like it. If you have not signed up for these, make sure that you get your butt to the spring tour, sponsored in part by Weaver, Texas Rangers, Smoking Joe Dunlap with American Amicable. Atlanta is coming up. What is that? Today? Holy cow, that is today. Not too late. Could be for some of you. Hopefully it's not too late. Maryland, 2 weeks from now. Then we have Dallas, Texas, as you can see, Orlando, Florida, Las Vegas, Nevada. And I think they're retiring Steve Ramsey's jersey in Indianapolis, Indiana. He retired. He went out on top, Ramsey's. So if you want to be there for the retirement of Ramsey's jersey, Steve Ramsey is the only person that's ever retired that we bought a retirement gift for, Casey. You remember that? On behalf of Quility, we sent him an Apple Watch.
That's right.
I thought that was great.
Yeah.
We need to keep moving. You know, Ramsey needs to keep moving. He needs to stay active. And
You're right, he does.
watch is symbolic of your retirement. And so Steve Ramsey, you guys should all plan to be at Indianapolis, Indiana for the retirement of his jersey. Mr. Ethan Drum, where are you, sir?
Right here.
Make yourself available.
Can you see me
now? Yes, sir.
Awesome. Well, we ran a contest, Brandon, Casey, and went ridiculously better than we could have expected, which is always good. You know, just like the insurance world, the pharmaceutical world has third-party administrators. They have their version of carriers. And so how they decide how margin is allocated and how they decide how we get money is primarily by the numbers of people being enrolled. And so we kind of blew their socks off. They gave us, again, they gave us the money to run this contest to motivate and see what would happen. And I think we freaked them out because what we did during the contest is what we did for the entire month of December and January. So we literally doubled. It's insane, but that's some of the fun things we can talk about. So Brandon, if you'll hit the next slide. So again, 25,000 members enrolled in a very short period of time. Since January, we started in December. Members have saved $50,000, which is just remarkable.
That's so cool.
856 compensable transactions in January and more to come. Go to that next slide, Brandon. We, in that contest, new members enrolled during this time period was 16,761 members. So just during the contest, and I don't think they saw that coming. And these weren't spam bots. There's not a way for Putin to send people on our website and put people in. This actually they actually have to go into HQ and do that. So that means that our agents are doing the right behavior. So again, for every 10,000 members enrolled, one winner would be drawn for a $1,000 lead credit, and the top agent with the most cards sent over the contest period received a $1,000 lead credit. So those winners are, next slide, congratulations to our drawing goes to Robert Freer. And then top agency, Brad Gainey. I got next week, we're going to be talking about Brad Gainey. I actually got to reach out to him and get him on our training webinar because whatever he did, I don't know what he gave you guys, if he asked you to drink some Kool-Aid, but you guys, the Gainey agency went ballistic, went nuts, and just crushed it. So can't wait to talk about that more next week on our training webinar. Next slide, Brandon. Top 10 enrollments. Jason Mitchell at 523, Stephen Burchell at 499, Hunter Bowman at 443, Michaela Brock at 423, Helen Martin at 342, Sanchez Blake at 339, and Mark Roberts at 199. Keep going, Brandon. Thomas Fidel at 1,042, Christian Betancourt at 1,250, and then our number one agent is Jennifer Stanley at 1,672 enrollments.
Wow.
31 in a contest period. That is crazy.
Wow. Was this, how long was the contest period again? Was it 4 weeks, 6 weeks? What was it?
Yeah, it's technically 6 weeks, but we only announced it in 2 weeks in. So they honored that we went back and retroactively, but this is what she did in a 31-day time period. This is insane. It's incredible. Wow. So just want to say what an incredible ride. I was blown away. I think our people are starting to understand that we're one big community, inviting people to come in to another community, which we're going to have is my Quility, and Quility RX is a product of that. So These are behaviors by getting 1,672 people enrolled, she's now protecting those policies that she's put in place because she's saving them money every single month. They're never going to forget her. So way to go, Jennifer. Brandon, next week, the last announcement with Quility RX, we will have our training webinar. We'll be updating you on some cool new things with Quility RX and showing you how to use the tool and getting some testimonials of how people like Jennifer did this. Now, this isn't her downlines numbers. This is what she did by herself. So 1,672 people is pretty remarkable.
That is
Very nice.
crazy. I
Incredible.
can't wait to hear how Jennifer did that. Way to go, man. Thank you for that, Ethan. I love it. I got good news, hot off the presses. Spivey's son, Luke, finished 4th place in the entire school of 3rd graders in the spelling bee.
Let's go.
Let's
Nice,
go.
Luke.
That's what I'm talking about, Luke Duke.
Nice, Luke.
That's right. Maybe in the Q&A, you can throw us up something real quick on if anybody has any funny spelling bee stories. Meredith, were you ever in the spelling bee?
That's funny, babe. That's funny.
I lost in 7th grade, I lost the spelling bee to Alvin Lin on the word psychology. However, Alvin Lin went on to go to Harvard. So it does not help my humility that I lost to Alvin Lin, who went to Harvard, because I still feel like I
funny
won.
that your word was psychology and you lost
Psychology,
it.
isn't that funny?
I know. Have you looked him up?
That's good.
You looked him up at all of you?
No.
See what he's up to now? I mean, just because you
That might hurt our credibility on what we're talking about here today, Brian Williamson.
That's right.
True. What have we got going on Thursday? Tomorrow, Erica Sisson on Quility Tech HQ. Love it. Monday, we've got successful prospecting and closing tips from Stefan Brennis and Bo Hirschfield. Way to go, Brennis. Hirschfield. It's going to be a good one. And of course, DFLIVIN. I think that's going to be going on Tuesday. I'll double check with Mike Rasma, but it always does. So get there. It's going to be a good one. All right. Would it be helpful, B-Dubs, if I stop sharing?
It would be helpful, but it would only be helpful if you allow me to commend you and Casey for a literal 1:20 p.m. stop time. That is quite impressive.
That was even with my special Spivey announcement too. So
yeah, yep. You can stop your screen share, and I will take it from here. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah.
As you know, let me dial this back up here. Helps if I share my screen first before I do that. All right, so as you know, our word of the year is process. And process is a series of actions or steps taken in order to achieve a particular end. And we chose that pretty intentionally. We always give a lot of thought into what the word of the year is. And so we have a couple things that we want to communicate today that fit under this bucket of process. And I'm really excited. We've got a guest on the call who can unveil here, but I want to share a rollout with you about a coaching group that we're launching called Staffing Simplified. And Staffing Simplified is about putting the right people in the right seats, moving in the right direction. And this is led by our Quility expert coach, Chris Maslin. And we'll talk to Chris in just a minute, but let me brag on Chris for a minute. He's just, first of all, an all-around great human. He's a really good friend of Todd Spivey's. So Todd made the introduction. Chris is the VP of HR and Organizational Development at the Biltmore, where he oversees talent acquisition, which means he oversees all of their hiring. And he oversees talent development, which means he works on developing people, and overall employee experience, amongst a number of other things. Of their 2,200 plus staff, right? So he's dealing with a large group of people. He's also the founder and director of the Biltmore Center for Professional Development. And so where they really export a lot of their practices on how they do things at the Biltmore to enhance other organizations. So when we had the chance to scoop him up as a Quility coach, it was so easy to do so. And you'll see in a minute as we dialogue with Chris why that's the case. The bottom line is he's a world-class expert in the areas of interviewing and hiring and onboarding and staffing. So what we're rolling out in this coaching group is for really anyone. We think the ideal participant is anyone from key leader up. I mean, you can go all the way up. This is going to be kind of an eclectic group, we believe, who want to learn about how to hire, onboard, and build a team for success. It's going to meet 2 times per month. And by the way, an email is going to go out just during this call or after this call with all of this information. So you can just sit back and listen. And then it's going to have all the information as well as a direct link to register. So you can kind of just take this in and follow up on that email. So 2 times a month, 75-minute sessions for 4 months. The opening session is going to be on Thursday, April 28th. $325 per month. And let me just talk to you about what we're going to cover briefly in this Staffing Simplified group. First of all, don't worry, everyone's going to get access to it, but we're just working on this for the rollout of this cohort. So you're going to get first mover access. So I've been working with our top leaders to develop a blueprint on what does hiring look like from the bottom of the company to the top of the company if you're building an agency. So if you're a key leader, what are like other people doing when it comes to hiring? So we're completely taking the guesswork out for you about who to hire, what kind of roles should you hire, what are average pay ranges, things like that. So everybody's going to get to benefit from that. That'll be embedded in our Summit training platform as well. But if you join this cohort, you're going to be the first people to get access to that, as well as all of these different areas. You're going to look at filters for hiring. If you need to hire, should you outsource that or actually hire a part-time person? Interviewing and recruiting skills, hiring and selection skills, how to onboard and set expectations. I'm going to do a session on the accountability chart and performance management, and you're going to learn how to coach and engage your staff. So as you can tell, we're really excited about this because of the level of expertise that you're going to get, as well as there's been such a demand for this in our agents, because here's the reality. I was never trained on how to hire and interview and onboard somebody. I was just thrown into it. And that can be really good, right? 70% of our learning, Chris and I agree about this, come from just kind of diving in and trying to figure it out. But having an expert that you can play piñata with and hit and get all the goodies out, man, this is, again, a world-class opportunity. So Chris, we're so honored to have you lead this cohort with us. And why don't you introduce yourself? And I thought it would be good for you maybe just to share some nugget about hiring from your perspective, that or whatever, just the whole staffing. It's bigger than hiring, it's staffing in general. So just share a little bit of something that's on your mind today so people can get to know you a bit.
Yeah, thanks so much for the opportunity. And I'm delighted to get to meet most of y'all today, at least in the virtual format, and hopefully a little bit more as we move into the session. But my passion is people, which I know it's yours too. You wouldn't be doing what you're doing if it weren't for a deep, deep passion for advancing the lives of people and helping people's lives improve and helping them meet their goals. And that's really what we're looking at here as we think about this session. This program is you discerning, and really that's the first big step, is discerning, like, hey, what are your needs? And for some of you, it depends on where you want to take that business, right? It may be that you want to grow it and just blow the doors off. And some of you might discern, hey, here's my revenue target, and here's what I want to be. And so those may have very different staffing models associated with it. And so we're going to start there and then begin looking at how do I build this team and who am I looking for? Because your people that you bring on this team, just as you've been recruiting agents and other people in your downline, I mean, the people that you bring on your actual team here, they're an extension of you. They're an extension of your brand. They're an extension of your personality. And really what you're trying to put out there is your reputation. So I think about that as part of just the legacy too, that we're all trying to leave. Each of us are putting our fingerprints of our life on other people each and every day. And these are the people you'll really get to spend a lot of time with. So we want to do that with intentionality. And we want to do it well. And so we want to give you a process using our word of the year to think about that and move this forward. So that's really where we're going with this. And I'm excited to work with y'all. Hope you can join and be part of this. But just think about, where do you want to go? Where do you want to take your business? Each of you have got a vision for that. And how do you get there with the right team? Because none of us can do this on our own. Every one of us is standing on somebody's shoulders, right? And so you're going to begin building more and more of those people that kind of stand on their shoulders and to grow something that's going to be amazing and impact lives in a really positive way.
Yeah, that's outstanding. Yeah, final thought on this, and then Casey, you want to chime in a minute here? But we, this is called Staffing Simplified. What we're not trying to do, and this is in every single thing that I'm personally responsible in this organization to build, we are not trying to overcomplicate this and make your life more complex. There's a simplicity to staffing. However, if you don't have some tools and understanding of how to interview well, how to onboard, how to manage, you can actually lose a lot of money in staffing because you just don't know how to have a basic skill set to do this. So the idea of this particular cohort is that you would go through this one time and it would just equip you for your whole time here at Symmetry. So you're not going to need to go through staffing 201, 301, 401. This is like the one coaching group that you're going to go through that's going to let you kind of have all of the toolkit. And we're going to sort of pull the curtain back, give you the whole toolkit so that you can staff up even when you're a 120. So some of you 120s might want to be part of this because actually it's going to help you with advanced level staffing insights as well as how to scale this in your organization. So any thoughts, Casey? I know you've had.
I was just I'm very excited about this, Chris. Good, very good to have you helping us with that. So I was just going to say two things. First, my world changed with my first hire. You know, Brandon, Meredith, y'all would agree with your agency back before we even started this company. And certainly it applies to, you know, our this company as well. Like, you know, have that first handful of employees. That first one really is, you know, so pivotal for anyone that's ever went through that. And then the second thing I was just going to say is, yes, it can absolutely, and it probably will cost you a lot of unnecessary money and a lot of unnecessary frustration and energy. Chris, where were you 15, 16 years ago before we hired our first people? It would have been really good to have this kind of knowledge and this kind of support. So yeah, very excited about it. It's gonna be very beneficial for people.
Yeah, thanks. Yeah, thanks, Chris, for making the time. I know we're really looking forward to it. I've already know there's a handful of people that I think are already on board. But again, you'll get an email from marketing with a direct link to sign up. So feel free to do that, reserve your spot, and we'll get launched at the end of April here. So Chris, enjoy your day, man. Thanks for being on.
Yeah, thanks so much.
Excellent. Well, Meredith, I'm going to go over to you for our next kind of rollout and conversation that we're going to have before we get to jump into our topic.
Yeah, excited to be with you all today. Mine isn't quite as fun as a coaching staffing that Chris is doing, but it is very important. And so we've been working on, really B-Dubs has worked on and provided for us just a nice guideline of what our code of conduct is at Quility. And as we grow, and, you know, fun is a core value of ours, right? It's the number one thing, but I think it's good to kind of have a rule book on how we play, you know, what is fun and what is not really fun. And Brian has just put together a beautiful process for us and just a documentation for us all to use. So when we are going to events or when we're having our own events, when we're doing conferences, we're doing meetings, I think it's important that those of you that are running those pull these out and kind of do this kind of in the beginning and kind of use this. We don't have to clean, but this is the way we play here, right? And you know, we're not trying to parent anyone. We're not trying to do any of that. But I think it's important for people to understand where our boundaries are. And kind of like what Chris was talking about, you're an extension of our brand. And when we go out into the world, it is important that we keep that in mind. And I think what's important for us at Quility is one of the ways we're going to take care and protect our brand is how we care and protect our people. Right. And I think that's very important. And that's the first thing. And this is just a guideline to help us know kind of where those boundaries are. So he does tell them, where can they find this? I think it's on HQ. Is that right now? Or it will be at 1 o'clock or live now?
Yeah. So, well, the code of conduct is available in a couple places now. One of them is in Summit. So just so everyone knows, if you've not been through Summit yet, a part of Summit is going through these skill block courses. So you're going to be able to go through, and in this second skill block, there's a course on leadership. And in that leadership course, you would click on it normally and it would pull up, and you'll see right there, there's a whole module on the way we play. So there's a place you can download it there. It's also available in what we're calling, we're rolling out today as a part of our code of conduct. So if I go back to code of conduct, this is going to get into things like, all of our policies, reporting, like what happens if something really out of bounds happens, in terms of our code of conduct violation, right? So we're rolling out today also something that just went live in HQ at 1 o'clock under the resources section called our Speak Up Helpline. And what the Speak Up Helpline is, I don't think I could say it better than our founder's note in the platform. I'm just going to read this for you. It says, our company has worked hard over a period of years to create a safe and positive culture where everyone is treated respectfully. Our goal with the Speak Up Helpline is to provide every agent and employee with a reliable, confidential, and anonymous communication tool to report issues of concern, violations of our code of conduct, or company policies. We're grateful for you speaking up, and we will ensure that concerns are addressed in a timely and appropriate manner. And so I don't think we could say it better than that, but we felt like, we wanted you to have a safe place to go to in the event that there's extreme violations of a code of conduct. Thankfully, over the years, we've had a very, very a positive culture, lots of, protection, if you will, from really bad situations. But we want to make this available. Meredith, do you want to talk about, before I give a little more detail on this, what it's not, also what this Speak Up Helpline tool is not?
Yeah, I mean, just like anything, it's a lot for what it is, but it's also, this is not a place to voice concerns if you're maybe, not liking what your upline is telling you. Maybe it's not really a place for that. It is truly a place where people have crossed a line for your safety and what that means to you. So in our code of conduct, it's one of those things you hate that we have to have, and I'm so grateful that we have. As our company grows and we continue to scale, it's going to be harder and harder to have. I mean, it doesn't matter if you're 10,000 deep in this org. We want you to have a place that if something goes and crosses a line, you have a place to speak up and to be heard. Right. And so this is what that is, and just grateful that we've now got this here for all of you.
Yeah. Well said, Meredith. And yeah, what it is, again, you just can come in here and you could report an incident online. You would just click Get Started, and it would take you through an anonymous process. If you want to be anonymous, and tell you about what happened, where did it happen, and so on. As well, there's a phone number that you could call 24/7, 365. So you might want to go into HQ and make sure that you can have access to this Speak Up platform in the event of something that you need to report in that way. So that's it. It's one of those, again, from a process perspective, there's things in place that just protect us, and more importantly, give you a safe place and protect you as well. So thanks, Meredith, for helping to communicate that. Any final thoughts, guys, on that before we get into our?
Yeah, just love it. I think it's, with more opportunity, that the company is going to be going through. It's, with opportunity comes responsibility. And, everyone always comments on how awesome the culture is. We know how awesome the culture is if you've been here. And it's about protecting that. It's about protecting our community. It's about making sure that in the spotlight out there in the public, as we start to align with more public facing companies, as you guys will start to see over the coming years, that's extremely important, but not as important as just having the environment that allows everyone to feel safe and feel like they have a place to speak up if something like this happens. So very, very good work. Very happy you guys were able to get this on platform for us.
You bet. Now, great. Onward and upward to the fun part, right? I'm going to talk to you today about the safety dance. And I had to go there. So I know I'm dating myself by using this safety dance metaphor. So I have to infect you with the safety dance song by Men with Hats from the 1980s. Check this out. Ready? The video is even better. Y'all remember this? All right.
That's awesome. I don't think I knew what they were saying. Now I do.
You can dance.
That's a good tone for this conversation.
I think you found your karaoke song.
All right, let me share my screen. No, and seriously though, it's fun, right? We like to have fun and get stuff done. But today's topic is really, really important. I did call it the safety dance, both for fun, but because what we're going to talk about is called psychological safety. And it is kind of a dance. I mean, I remember in 7th grade, boys on one side of the room, girls on the other, who was going to make the first move, to walk across that awkward moment and start the dance. And a dance is a two-way thing, right? And leadership is about relationship, and management is about process. And when we're leading people, we need to learn that two-way dance, if you will, of how to create an environment that works for them and that doesn't just override their preferences, but it considers their preferences. So this is going to really be a lot about how do you actually build momentum and boost results through psychological safety. Now, what I want to say before I even get into that further is that just creating an environment of psychological safety for people is an end in itself. Meaning, like, every person on this call, you're coming out, some of you are exploring this opportunity maybe, but you're coming out of a workplace that was more like toxic and challenging, and it sent you home feeling bad about yourself or feeling guilty, or just like, there's a lot of toxic environments, right? But every person, we believe, deserves an environment that is actually life-giving and flourishing and thriving. So we're asking the question, how would you like to be part of a positive environment? How would you like to be heard, valued, and appreciated, and ultimately be more successful and have your goals reached, right? Every human deserves this just because we're human, and we deserve that kind of environment. And one of the things that I'm proudest of about this organization and being a part of it is the great, positive culture that's award-winning, that we've really protected. And now we're really understanding more and more, both through our people analytics and just through the research that we're doing. We're understanding more and more of why is it this way? And how can we help every person on this call both experience an environment that is a thriving environment, and then also, teach that to other people. So Google did a study that was really helpful called Project Aristotle. And they were asking the question, why do some teams excel while others don't? And they really had the assumption on the first part of this study that the best teams would have been made up of the most competent people, meaning you get the right skills, the right objective, and you'll get the best teams. So they spent 2 years working with about 180 teams, conducted 200 interviews, analyzed 250 team attributes, and depending on what version of the study that you read, you actually will hear about the fact that they were hoping for some great, quantitative analysis insight. But what they came out with as most important were that the best teams had 5 key characteristics. And I want to just talk through these, even though we're focusing on the last one, because I think today, if you're on this call and you want to create an agency that has this kind of environment, these are 5 things that you're going to want to pay attention to, right? The first one is dependability. People did what they said they would do, and they got stuff done, right? And this is absolutely a value that's ingrained in our culture. We create an environment where we're going to commit to something and follow through. I think about how Brad Smith really taught me years ago about not just setting a goal, but committing to the goal, right? Doing what you say you're going to do. And that's really important of a thriving agency. Secondly, having clear goals and well-defined roles, right? That clarity element. We'll often say around here, clear is kind, and it really is important. A sense of meaning, right? The work has personal significance to each member. And gosh, how grateful are we for the work that Whit Zay does, and Meredith and the team around impact, and just making sure that the things that we do have that ripple effect to just impact so many people's lives. And my sense of purpose, and I know all of you on this call that have been around for a while can say that your sense of meaning and purpose is going to go through the roof being a part of this organization, because we do things that you just get caught up into. I remember being on the first Make-A-Wish thing, and it was like so easy to run over to my phone and make a donation. It was like I couldn't help but get swept into the amazing work that was happening here. That fits with impact as well. I kind of overlap those two, right? So the group believes their work is purposeful, positively impacting the greater good. And then this last one called psychological safety. Psychological safety stood out as the most important factor out of all of these 5 in creating a team that moves forward. And so what psychological safety is, Meredith's going to define it a little bit more in a second, but it means that our team members feel safe to take risks, voice their opinions, and ask judgment-free questions. So Meredith, why don't you work us through this next slide, just so that before we talk to JPV and the Summers, so we can understand this a little bit more.
Yeah, and I'm just going to read this to you, but psychological safety refers to a belief that a team is safe for risk-taking in the face of being seen as ignorant, incompetent, negative, or disruptive. In a team with high psychological safety, people feel safe to take risk around their team members. They feel confident that no one on the team will embarrass or punish anyone else for admitting a mistake, asking a question, or offering a new idea. We love this quote here by Harvard professor around, a climate in which people are comfortable being and expressing themselves. I think if we're wanting people at their best, this is number one. So they feel safe to ask the questions, to learn. It's kind of that around the book mindset a little bit, right? It's like you want to create where people feel like they can put in their effort. You don't have to know all the answers here, but we can come and put in the effort and create space to grow and learn. And here at Symmetry, it's having a culture where every voice feels comfortable speaking up because they know they will be heard and respected. And before we go into that, I think sometimes this can get real, interesting, because it's not saying you don't need to bring challenge. It's not saying we don't need to, when people maybe cross the line and create boundaries, we don't hold them accountable to that, right? But how do we create an environment where they know we're shooting for their highest possible good, right? I use this term where it's like, we need to build connection before correction. When you can connect with someone, then they're going to be open and their guard is down, and it's a safe place for us to have correction and to learn and to grow together. So that's kind of the core of what we're really talking about here today.
Yeah. And I loved what you said, and John and Scott and Kelly, you all can unveil at this point. I love what you said, Meredith, about if you want people to bring their best and be their best, this is the number one thing, right? So oftentimes, Brandon, you mentioned this yesterday when we were talking a little bit, like the soft stuff is the hard stuff. And sometimes driven, high-performing leaders dismiss something like psychological safety as soft or something. It's just it's a misunderstanding, right? And it's actually a vital skill that we need to actually work on, right? So those of you on this call that are, again, you're newer, maybe this is your first week, the good news is you're going to get swept up and experience an environment of psychological safety, because we've measured this in our people analytics research, and we're actually doing really, really well on psychological safety. It is a growth area for some people, for sure. We all need to grow in this. But I asked John Paul Vetter and Scott and Kelly Summers to be on, because they are in the top of people who were rated the highest in this area. So there's others of you that were rated very high, and I'm sure at some time I'll poke you and pull you on a call as well. But I thought what would be most useful for today is just to hear from some leaders that are doing this well. What are some of the things that they're doing to really bring the best out of people, right? And so, because every single person on this call is a leader. You start by leading yourself, and then you lead other people, and then you lead leaders, and then you lead an organization and an agency. What are some of the things, the practices that they're doing that actually really help people win? So so glad to have you guys. Now I'm going to start with you, Scott, if that's okay, and just throw out the big picture question to get us rolling about, you were rated very high in this area. You and Kelly, actually, you're probably going to be easy because you're going to say it was all Kelly. But what are things that you think that you do or you've heard from your people that really kind of create an environment that people are free to speak their mind and kind of feel comfortable with that?
Yeah, well, first of all, Scott Summers, Director of Symmetry, through the guidance and mentorship of Kevin Purdy's. So Kelly and I are so blessed to be here. And I just want to say, I wanted to unveil so bad when you're talking about the men with hats, like that's a perfect thing. Like none of them could dance. It should have been men that without moves. But
I challenge everybody to go watch that video today.
Yeah.
It's going to be wrecked for the rest of
Oh,
the day.
so good.
For sure.
Yeah, no, totally. It's kind of a trained thing, you know, with working. And it's a great honor. First of all, and I also want to say this. I love the fact that we're putting in all of these systems, and you know, this might seem like a mundane part of our business with all the activity that we have to put in. And I before I came to Symmetry, I started and quit 30 different careers. No exaggeration, probably an understatement. And along the way, I worked with a company that started implementing ISO and the ISO 9000, like international standards organization, trying to organize, because what we realize is the kind of a dysfunction, but not the right messages, you know, kind of being channeled. So anyway, yeah, I think it's a train thing. I think one of the words that just kind of popped into my head is just listening and then implementing. When you were talking about that, and it definitely helps to be a business partner with a nurturer like Kelly. Kelly probably could chime in on that too. Just listening, trying to implement things that we're hearing, picking up on, and just trying to allow that freedom. So this totally, you know, trying to allow people to kind of like with different ideas to kind of take those ideas and run with them without kind of giving feedback in every situation on, you know, kind of like managing kind of like their thoughts, letting them kind of flow with it.
It's really helpful, really good. I think that's where we have, you know, listening to understand before we're speaking to be heard is so important. And what happens at times, and we understand this, like some leaders want to just see that person move forward so quickly, and instead of actually following up with a second or third question, or Meredith really likes to keep our team accountable around staying curious a little bit longer in the moment. And, you know, she has a hard time being effective with that with all of the fast moving people, but it's such a good practice, right? To actually stay in the moment and don't just quickly answer somebody. That's very helpful. Yeah, Kelly, anything that you'd want to chime in on this from this is like the native language of a nurturer. You're going to naturally do this well.
Yeah, Brian, when you asked us to be on the call, yeah, I was pretty, I guess, surprised that we rank so high, because I guess when you're in it, you don't really, you know, for me, it's natural. But I'm very pleased that we rank so high, and makes my heart full, because that's why I'm here. Core values, I'm all over it. I say them before I go to sleep at night, you know. But I think, you know, when people come here, like you said, a lot of folks are coming from a toxic environment. And for us here, we want to make sure it's different. We want to make sure people are seen as people. Maybe in their last job, they weren't even seen. You know, it's not just about listening, but really understanding what it is and why people are here, you know, trying to fill their void, trying to connect them. People, like you said, you know, want to have a connection. That's where that relationship starts. And once that connection's there, they feel like they can talk and have open discussions. They feel like they matter. They're motivated by it, you know, and they just, I guess with us, you know, we're available as much as possible to our agents, you know, all the way down the line. And you know, we're constantly trying to figure out new things to make things easier for them. Just, you know, make it fun too, you know. Working just remotely doesn't mean that we can't get together. You know, we have contests and we have Zooms and dinners, and, you know, we just try and do it all, you know, just to connect.
Excellent. Meredith, any thoughts so far?
No, it's just fun. I see you and Scott doing that. Like, I see you embodying that, and it's important to you, and it's evident in how it comes out in the data. So thank you for being the leaders you are.
Yeah. And JPV, you know, I was really happy that you scored high on this. It sounds like I'm really surprised that you scored high on this. Here's the thing, I just in candor, right, in transparency in front of all of our, you know, couple thousand friends here, right. You know, you are obviously a charismatic and compelling leader that when we think of you, I mean, there's a lot of things, I'll just speak for myself. I mean, we have the utmost of respect, and also we're like, man, this guy's like a hard charger. He's got an edge to him. Like, I'm not thinking about psychological safety. When I think about John Paul Vetter, it's not the first thing that comes to mind, like that JPV is going to be the psychological safety guy, right? Now, here's the thing. This is where we get to smash misconceptions, right? Because like Meredith said before, one of the 5 things from research about creating an environment of psychological safety is that you actually are challenging as well, and that you bring challenge to people. Because if you're not speaking with candor and clarity, especially in the moment, that actually does not create a safe environment, because eventually people blow up and become passive aggressive. So I'm so interested to hear from you in a lot of ways, how this, creating an environment where people feel respected and heard and appreciated, where did that come from for you? And what does that look like in your agency and in your leadership?
Absolutely. And I appreciate so much the opportunity and the invitation to be on today. And first of all, John Paul Vetter, I'm directed Chris Menifee, to Scott Mink, Eileen Balmer, Jacob Hogan, the Marshall Wayland hierarchy. And just grateful to be on the call. And so I appreciate your observation. And yeah, and I'm one of those guys, if anybody's heard me speak before or been at conference and such, I'm going to tell you like it is and give it to you honest. And I don't pull punches, but it's because I care. And my people on my team, they know how big my heart is. And I always see it through that lens, because I truly want everyone else to be as successful as they can possibly be, and believe in them before some of them can believe in themselves. And that's huge. And when it's real and genuine, people take it in the right way, even when you tell them the truth, right? But it's got to be genuine, and they have to know that you love them. And I think that's a part that gets overlooked maybe on the surface. If you hear a speech at conference or on the national call, you don't understand the intimacy of the connectivity that you have with people on your team. And I think that really, and especially in my organization, and I'm so blessed that we have such an incredible culture within the culture. And it starts with just, connecting with your people, right? Meeting them where they are, and being a sounding board at times, and understanding what they're going through to help them on their journey. But it's so much about a sense of inclusion and encouragement and a sense of belonging, and being focused on a common cause. And I shared this actually this morning with my team on our crew app. And it says, surround yourself with people that push you to do better. No drama or mess, just higher goals and higher vibrations, good times and positive energy, no jealousy, no hate, simply bringing out the absolute best in each other. Surrounding yourself with lions and lionesses. And folks know, in a pride of lions, it's not always pretty, right? The hierarchy of the pride of lions can be tough, but when you put a pack of lions together that are focused on a common cause, watch out, right? Because they all understand the mission at hand. And so, I think that's, and my wife says this all the time. I mean, I can be tough from a tough love perspective, but my team and everybody in my organization and those close enough to me know that I genuinely do love those people and my team and my organization, and I want the best for them. And I shared this in my speech at conference, at the Wayland conference last summer. And people that come into the organization, sometimes they haven't had somebody to love on, right? And they don't understand what that's like. And it's really what people need, right? And it's what's maybe been missing in their world. And the people that hold you accountable to your own goals and dreams, the people that want you to see you achieve and be the best version of yourself you can possibly be and push you to that, they love you a whole hell of a lot more than the people that'll stand by and watch you waller in mediocrity and your bad habits. And that's it's got to be real, right? And the way you connect with people. And the other thing is, and I think a lot of times people come into this business and they think that they're somebody's boss. I am nobody's boss. Nobody here works for me. We work together. We are on a mission. And this is truly a journey that we are all on, and none of us can become successful without all of us becoming successful. And people have to understand that. And if you come from an employer-employee mentality, from a leadership perspective, it can be tough for you to make that transition. But true leaders don't create followers. true leaders create other leaders. And I value and appreciate and respect everyone on my team and my organization to a person, and have intimate conversations with them. And it's not just about the business, right? And sales and recruits and things. It's about what's going on in their personal life. And people feel comfortable in connecting with me and telling me things they might not tell somebody else that's in their immediate family, because they know I care about them. I can be a sounding board, and I'm able to provide them unbiased perspective and insights that can maybe help them through that journey. And that ability to connect, your potential for success here is directly proportional to your ability to connect with your people, not just clients and customers on calls and appointments, but with your team. They have to be inspired, and you have to be the chief empowerment officer of your organization. You have to empower your people to shine, because some people have lived in someone else's shadow or in someone else's light for so long, they've forgotten how to shine themselves. And you need somebody to peel that back and uncover that and encourage them, and to be their biggest cheerleader, and be there to support them when sometimes they feel like they're not worthy or they're not up to the task. You have to be a battery big enough for them to plug into, to recharge them and throw them back into the fight, and not just point them in the right direction, but to lead the charge.
Love it.
And that's how I lead my team and my organization, and just so blessed, for this journey, this opportunity. Everything I've done in my life prepared me for the day I ran across the ad for this opportunity. I'm done. I've said it before. I was looking for my next and found my last. My flag is planted. This is my family, and my team is my family. And we live and eat and breathe that every single day. And that's what permeates through the organization, and those leaders on my team then teach and cultivate that culture continually in perpetuity within the organization as well. So anyway, I hopefully that shed some light on that, and I appreciate again the opportunity.
Super, super helpful. Yeah, let me, I'm just going to land our time together. Just summarizing, I mean, gosh, I think you really focused on this first one in such a good way. I mean, really, guys, for us to continue to promote the culture that Brandon, Casey, and Brian have really laid down as a foundation, and Meredith, it's always in our language, Brandon, Casey, and Brian, and Sarah and Jerry, we could talk about everyone's involvement. But listen, for us to really continue to build out on that culture, it does help us to be intentional about knowing how do we do that, right? So the ways to see this kind of environment happen are, first of all, every one of us on this call has to be confident in who we are. It has to be authentic. And I'm glad you went that direction, JPV, because really just being who you are, and also being who you are with a posture of, are you for me, against me, or for yourself? That's the three questions people are asking, or that is the question people are asking when they intersect you. And when you're for other people and you care, it makes a big difference. Number two, listen to understand, don't just speak to be heard. We talked about that. Number three, viewing failure as a positive that moves you forward, right? We're gonna mess up. We're gonna do things that maybe aren't exactly the right way the first time. So we're going to just have to learn how to fail forward, right? We don't even look at it as failure. We look at it as learning opportunities to grow. We talked about being open to support and challenge when we're considering the ideas and responding to other people. And then the last one is just to really practice conflict resolution. That's actually a big part of creating an environment of psychological safety, is that you don't avoid conflict, you don't dismiss conflict, you don't abdicate on conflict. But when you know there's something there, you actually have those conversations, right? And I know there's times where, for different reasons, those conversations become really distant and difficult. But to create an environment where people can be their best and bring their best involves those 5 things. And even again, some of the things, Scott and Kelly, that you shared also, just so helpful to see it in action, and just to celebrate all of you today in the way that you're doing that in our subcultures, if you will, in your agencies. Makes all the difference. Any final thoughts, Meredith, before we land? We'll get everybody back about their day.
Yep, we're 2 minutes over, but I just wanted to close it with just also, as you're building cultures of psychological safety, I think one of the greatest ways of doing is also giving a lot of grace to yourself, and understanding it, but also understanding when you do make those mistakes, what does a circle back look like? like to create a culture where it's like, I didn't show up as my best self yesterday. I need to apologize. I like to, like, again, that's showing we're not looking for perfection around here, but that creates an environment to say, I made a mistake, but I want to say, I'm sorry. I want to get some feedback on how my impact was, right? I know you're going to always judge me on my intention, but I always want feedback on my impact, right? So to just create that language and those cultures and creating those boundaries is how we do it. And it's not about perfection, but it's about a grace, love, and connection within ourselves to know when we need to make those circle backs with our teams, families, community members, husbands, all the people. So anyway.
Outstanding. Well, again, I'm sure the feedback's going to be, I would have loved to hear more from Scott, Kelly, and JPV, and we all would have loved to, but we also care about you enough to send you about the rest of your day. So thank you all for your time. Excellent
Thank
job,
you.
guys. Peace
Good
out.
call, guys. Thank you all.
Appreciate y'all. Thank you so
Good
much.
week. Do it
Yep.
again.
Cheers.
Be blessed.